You are just too perfect.
Why she always walk like that? Oh, she walking with my hat.
Let's Boko!
Imagine having a tenant who's behaving like that. Nkechi is 26 years old, but he doesn't want to pay rent. Whenever the landlord goes to demand the rent, she has the way she moves that makes the landlord to admire her. Before we continue with this story, subscribe to this channel, like the video, and follow for more.
The golden morning sun rose brightly over the busy streets of Lagos, casting warm light across the vibrant two-story building known to everyone as Peace Villa, though anyone who lived inside knew there was hardly ever any real peace when the day began. Inside apartment number 4 on the ground floor, 25-year-old Nkechi stood in front of her tall dressing mirror, tying a bright yellow head wrap around her hair with grand sweeping motions, while humming a sweet tune that echoed through the thin walls. Nkechi was a young woman blessed with immense beauty, radiating good health and cheerful energy, carrying herself with natural grace and wide hips that swayed gently with every single step she took across the shiny parlor tiles. To any stranger looking from the outside, Nkechi appeared to be living a completely normal life, but inside the compound, she was the legendary tenant who had lived comfortably for 12 whole months without paying a single naira of rent. The funny truth of the matter was that Nkechi was not poor at all, because her mobile banking application showed a very healthy balance from her successful catering business. But she had discovered that dealing with her landlord, Chief Okoro, was far more entertaining when she turned every rent collection into a theatrical performance. Chief Okoro was a very serious man who wore big flowing agbada robes and dark sunglasses to look important, always bragging to his fellow elders at the community meeting that his apartment was the most disciplined and respectable property in the entire neighborhood. However, Chief Okoro had 2 major weaknesses that made his life very complicated whenever he stepped into the compound to collect his money. His first weakness was his desperate fear of gossip, because he firmly believed that Nkechi's loud voice and talkative nature could easily ruin his high-class reputation if she decided to tell the whole street about his funny habits. His second weakness was that whenever Nkechi walked past his front porch with her cheerful smile and rhythmic swaying walk, the poor man completely lost his train of thought, stammering like a little boy and forgetting the very reason he had come down the stairs with his receipt booklet. On this particular Saturday morning, Chief Okoro sat on his carved wooden chair on the wide veranda, holding his thick red rent register in his hands and tapping his shiny leather shoes against the floor to build up his courage. He looked at the bold red ink written next to Nkechi's name, showing 12 long months of unpaid rent, and he wiped a tiny drop of sweat from his forehead, even though the morning breeze was blowing softly through the mango trees in the yard. His stern wife, Mama Chioma, poked her head through the parlor window behind him and hissed loudly, reminding him that if he did not bring back that money today, he should not bother asking for his afternoon lunch of hot pounded yam and rich egusi soup. Chief Okoro stood up quickly, adjusting the heavy folds of his blue agbada and clearing his throat with a loud, forceful cough to announce his presence to all the tenants washing clothes in the courtyard. Down in the yard, Mama Beatrice was busy scrubbing school uniforms near the big blue water tank, while young brother Emeka was carefully polishing his motorcycle, both of them watching the landlord with knowing smiles because they knew the weekly comedy show was about to start. Chief Okoro took slow, deliberate steps down the concrete staircase, holding his shoulders very straight and raising his chin high in the air to look like a fearless judge about to pass a heavy sentence on a stubborn offender. Just as Chief Okoro reached the bottom step, the colorful door of apartment 4 swung open with a dramatic creak, and Nkechi stepped out into the bright sunlight wearing a magnificent green lace gown that perfectly accentuated every graceful curve of her body. She carried a shiny silver bowl filled with fresh vegetables, balancing it effortlessly on one hand while her hips swayed in a captivating rhythmic bounce that instantly caught the attention of everyone standing in the compound. Chief Okoro froze right in the middle of the pathway, his eyes widening behind his gold-rimmed glasses, and his mouth fell slightly open as the grand speech he had practiced all morning vanished entirely from his memory. Nkechi spotted him immediately and put on the sweetest, most innocent expression, letting out a joyful greeting that rang out loud enough for the people living across the street to hear every single syllable clearly. She walked right up to the stunned landlord, giving a playful spin that made her dress swell beautifully around her ankles, and stopped barely 2 steps away from his trembling shoes while flashing a bright, dazzling smile. Chief Okoro tried to look angry and official, gripping his receipt book so tightly that the paper began to crinkle, but his voice came out in a high, squeaky tone that made the little children playing nearby giggle into their hands. "Good morning, our great and wonderful chief, the finest landlord in the whole city, who takes care of his tenants like his own precious children," Nkechi declared with such loud excitement that several neighbors opened their louver windows to watch the drama unfold. Chief Okoro quickly raised his hands in panic, looking left and right to make sure nobody was recording the scene, his heart beating fast because he knew that if Nkechi continued talking at this volume, she would soon announce his business to the entire district. He leaned forward and whispered desperately, begging her to lower her voice before his wife heard them, but Nkechi only laughed merrily, taking another slow, graceful step that left the poor landlord completely mesmerized and
Welcome back from part 1. My question is, what should we do to such people like Nkechi? Because most of the people build their houses to earn money. Let's meet in part 2 as we see how Mr. Okoro solved this problem. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss